to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I'm still playing catch up, reviewing season 2, episode 8 of And Just Like That. The struggle continues, so let's just jump right in. The theme of this episode, I feel like, was coming to terms with age in relation to youth, maybe. We had a lot of, oh, this is who I am right now compared to these younger people. So let's jump right in. So Carrie and Aiden are in a really good space. Carrie is so much more available for him than she was in the OG series. And she's really excited, and she's not doing this avoidant, detached thing that she did the first 2 times her and Aiden dated. So she wants to go visit the house, his farmhouse, and she wants to meet his boys, and she wants to have a dinner with him and her friends. Seema is not that into this, so put a push pin in that. I just want to pull over right here real quick and say this. I'm not comfortable with this farmhouse in the South that was built in 1816. I think that house has some history. I'd like a spin-off episode of what exactly the history is of Aiden's farmhouse. Were there slave quarters is what I'm getting at. Now, jump back in. Okay. Miranda is concerned that Carrie might be moving too fast with Aiden, but from Carrie's perspective, this is just like putting on a pair of shoes that you've already worn in. And she comes to this realization where she's like, I wonder if big was a big mistake. I was always holding a part of myself back for Aiden. Or holding a part of myself back with Aiden in hopes that big would come around. And I never fully allowed myself to be there, to be present with Aiden. And now I'm present with him and it feels good. I don't think that big was a mistake. I think big was unfortunately just a necessary part of Carrie's journey. I don't think that she was ever going to be happy with Aiden until she fucked around and found out with Big, and now that Big is literally no longer in the picture, she doesn't even have the option to hold herself back. But I think this should be a note to some people, including myself, that if you're holding yourself back in hopes that another person will eventually come around or magically become the person that you've always wanted them to be, you could be missing out on something that's actually better for you, that's more in alignment with you, and that's a better fit, and that could be more joyful, and that won't have you with a bird on your head on Fifth Avenue in front of the New York Public Library beating the man who left you at the altar over the head with an expensive bouquet. I don't know. So Shay's apartment has nothing in it, and Shay is working at the vet to make some extra money. Carrie slides through, and Carrie's like, you know what? Why don't you let me rent your apartment from you when Aiden is in town? And then when Aiden is in town, you can also stay at my apartment. That way you don't have to worry about your Airbnb tenants. Your building isn't really on board with the Airbnb situation anyway, and Shay is down with this idea. And so Carrie and Aiden don't have to spend a fortune on hotels. And, he still has this phobia of Carrie's apartment, which I guess my question is, ultimately, is Carrie going to give up this apartment for Aiden? I have questions about that. I do love the long distance nature of their relationship. I especially think that long distance relationships are ideal when you're older and established and you have your own homes, and maybe you have a family from a previous marriage, you have kids from a previous marriage. I kind of love the idea of 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. I think that's a little bit romantic, honestly. So yeah, Shay's apartment doesn't have anything. So Carrie and Aiden go shopping for housewares. And I would love to be in a partnership with someone where we're in this space where we're shopping for garlic presses together. And I also just have to say that having money seems so fun. It seems so fun because I know they're in Williams-Sonoma just tearing it up. Shay asked Carrie why they didn't work out the first time. And Carrie says because she made a mistake. And I guess she has accepted that Big was the mistake. Not the cheating, but that Big himself was a mistake. I just don't know that I really believe that there are mistakes. I think that your journey is just what it is. Um, so Miranda got the internship that she turned down with the Human Rights Watch. I'm proud of Miranda because starting over at this age as an intern is really humbling. I went back to school for an undergraduate degree at FIT when I was like 25 or 26. I think I graduated when I was like 27, and I was older than the other girls that were in my classes. And I felt it. You're not even an old person at 26, 27, but when you're in a room with people who are 19, 20, 21, you feel all your years, and it's humbling. Yeah, so initially the interns really liked Miranda, but because Miranda is a Harvard grad who has like 20 years of experience in law, she is more qualified to come in and do some more advanced things than what these interns are qualified to do. So they're doing like citations and grunt work, and Miranda's getting to be a part of meetings that they haven't been able to be a part of. So they're icing Miranda out already. And I appreciate that Miranda has enough self-awareness to recognize that. And when the woman who is pregnant, who's over the department, says, I am about to go on maternity leave, I'd like for you to take over for me, Miranda's, again, has enough self-awareness to say, shouldn't the other girls get the opportunity to do this since they've been here longer? But at the end of the day, they can't compete with her experience. So I'd be curious to see if we see again, like how her relationship with those interns works out. So Charlotte makes this grand announcement to her kids and Harry that she's going to take this full-time position. She won't be around as much, and no one gives a shit. My ego could never take that. My ego could never handle my kids, if I ever have them, not giving a shit that I'm not going to be around. You better let me know you going to miss me. Like, make me feel loved. What is this? I would be so insulted. I live in constant fear that if I have children, I won't be the favorite parent. My ego cannot handle not being the favorite parent. Care that I won't be here when you get home from school. This is also why I say I just don't think I can have teenagers. I want to give my kids away when they become teenagers. Is it too late to drop kids off at a fire station around like 13, 14, 15? Asking for my possible future self because I can't handle that. So she's going to go back to the gallery. She's like, you know what? I need a new wardrobe. And I'm pretty sure that Charlotte already has things in her wardrobe that can be worn at the gallery. But Charlotte is struggling to come to terms with the fact that her body is different now that she's gotten older and had a kid than it was when she was first a gallerina, quote unquote. And she goes to try on this dress that has this belt, and the belt keeps riding up because of the midsection. So she does what people do. She gets all these girdles and layers them up, stuffs herself into this dress so she's not comfortable. And she gets to the gallery on her first day, and there's this plus size girl that's there with her midriff out. And this empowers Miranda that I don't need these girdles and I just don't need the belt. And this is so annoying to me. I understand why people do this. First of all, yes, it is difficult to accept when your body has changed, but you can dress a body at any size as long as you accept that you're a bigger size. You have to just buy bigger clothes. And I think it ruins the experience of your life, of your day, when you put on clothes that are not comfortable, when you stuff yourself into things that are not comfortable. You cannot put 10 pounds of sugar in a 5-pound bag. Okay, it's still sugar, but sugar needs to go where sugar fits. I just couldn't do this. You're gonna walk around in a gallery with layers and layers of girdles on under a dress that like you can't bend, you can't sit, you can't even breathe. Do you know how much it affects your nervous system to not be able to breathe properly? Like, I hate that people do this. Don't get me wrong, every now and again I'm like, oh, let me just kind of smooth things out, quote unquote. But my girdles even I don't buy an uncomfortable girdle. I probably don't buy as small a size in Spanx, whatever, that I probably should because I don't want to be uncomfortable. Um, so she goes to the bathroom and takes off these girdles and throws them away. Bitch, girdles cost too much. Girdles cost way too much to just be throwing them away. And so she keeps one, but I'm like, girl, if you don't dig the rest of them things out of that trash can and give them away or something, girdles cost so much money. And I know the ones that she bought was over $100 a pop. Like, absolutely not. It must be so fun to be able to be so wasteful. Like, I can't. And I don't love that you have this plus size woman in service to this quote unquote standard sized woman's insecurities. Maybe that happens in the world where people see plus size women and they're like, oh, da da da. Like, I remember before I lost weight, people would routinely DM me, like, you're so brave. Thank you for repping for the big girls. Y'all, I wore like a 10 or a 12, sometimes a 14, because again, I don't like to be uncomfortable. I don't even think that I was in like you're so brave just to be in the world existing territory. But it's like you're not saying what you think that you're saying by acknowledging or saying that this person is empowering you by existing in their body. That is some wild shit. Because it was just like, thank you. I didn't know that I needed a level of bravery to just like navigate the world, but thanks so much, hon. Anyway, so Anthony and Seema, these storylines, this show just continues to not feel, there's no flow to it. It just isn't giving the organic feel that the show used to have, or the OG show. For some reason, Seema is getting a possible new client, and he's supposed to be hot and rich and has Marvel money, and he's looking for real estate. Okay, so I guess maybe Seema's getting a love interest again. I don't know, whatever. Anthony wants to fire the hot Italian bread delivery guy, Giuseppe, because he's attracted to him, and they have this ghost moment with kneading the dough. And I was just like, did this nigga wash his hands? Is this dough sanitary? What the hell is going on? What are these HR violations, Anthony? So he wants to fire the guy, and then he puts him on probation, and then he says, I have to fire you. You're too attractive. I can't handle it. And the guy says, well, what if I quit? And it's like, but you're so much younger than me. So again, the age thing. Okay, girl, I guess, whatever. The most poignant part of this episode for me was Seema not really being super on board with Aiden and having some reservations about it, because this means that Carrie has completely forgotten about their summer plans to be two single girls renting a summer house in the Hamptons together. And she's avoiding Carrie. She doesn't really want to go to this dinner. And they run into each other at the salon. Again, Seema is actively trying to avoid Carrie. Sorry, there's some flying around my apartment. She's actively trying to avoid Carrie because she has to explain to Carrie that I don't want to have to feel the way it would make me feel to be around you and Aiden in that house. I got a deposit back. I need some space. More happy for you I could not be that you've like found a person and you're in a good place. And we don't know if that's ever going to happen for me, but I need some space from this friendship. I completely understand that as like the resident single girl of my friend group or my core friend group from back home. There's a certain amount of grief that you go through when you recognize that you're going to be deprioritized in your friends' lives when they become partnered, when they become parents. It doesn't mean they don't love you, but the way we prioritize romantic relationships means that the people that you are not romantically linked with, even if you are a person who, you know, for whom community is really important, your partner and or children will take priority over your friendships. And you have to be a very conscious, aware person to make sure that the people you love outside of that relationship still feel loved and still feel important and still feel a part of your village and your community. But as a single person, it can be difficult to be around people who are in a place in their life that you don't know if you'll ever be. And there is a certain amount of grief that comes from, well, this is about to be different. And I've gone through that many times. Some of my relationships have been fortified when a friend has gotten married, and because they need a person outside of their marriage to talk to about things that their partner might not be interested in. Some of my relationships completely failed when the person got married because we're from the South, and they just felt like all they cared about being was a wife and a mother, and they did not know how to be a good friend to me and did not care to be a good friend to me. And that I kind of feel like that person's actually disposable to me, honestly. But marriage and relationships do change friendships, especially for the person who is single in the friendship. And I was happy that they highlighted that the only way I can describe it is grief, because that relationship is going to change, not always for the worse, not always for the better, but it will be different. And Seema does eventually come around and goes to the dinner with Aiden so she can meet him. But that part I thought was really, really important. And that was like the highlight of the episode for me, because I can really, really relate to that. So that made this episode worth it a little bit, but it's still that disjointed. Where's Dr. Naya? Where's Dr. Naya? And I'm okay with y'all just leaving her out of it, because if y'all just gonna throw her in there like y'all have the past couple episodes, leave my girl out of it. I was listening to a podcast and they said that they preferred that they just actually made this a third movie as opposed to stretching it out as a series. I don't know how I feel about that either. I just want this to be done better. I don't know. Anywho, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, join my Patreon, send me some money on Cash App. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon for episodes 9 and 10. I'm catching up. Ta-ta.